Well, good morning, Idaho, and happy Sunday to you. I sure hope you're having a relaxing and recharging weekend. I know I am. How the weather the last few days finally cooling off. My goodness, we were busy moving last week, and wow, it was a hot one. But those of us who've been around here a while, we know this little secret. We are heading into boot and sweater season. Okay, we're heading into fall, and I love it. This is where Idaho really gets to show off. It's my favorite season. And it won't be long before the trees begin showing all of their beautiful colors, the reds and the oranges and the yellows. And not only that, it's football season. Go Broncos. You are listening to the Hear Well, Live Well program on KIDO, and I am your host, Jacquie Elcox. And this show is being brought to you by Treasure Valley Hearing and Balance Clinics, 3 locations throughout the valley, and I can tell you the most amazing team of professionals dedicated to helping you improve the quality of your life. I thank you for tuning in this morning, and I am so happy to be here with you. Wait, has it really been a week since we were together last? My dad has told me for years that the older you get, the faster time goes. And guess what? He's right, darn it. Not only does time go faster, turns out the older I get, the smarter my dad gets. But don't tell him I said that, though. Well, anyway, last Sunday was the first Hear Well, Live Well show ever. And actually, it was my very first time hosting a radio program. And I gotta tell you, I had to laugh when I reflected on it. I guess having helped hundreds of people hear better for the last, 30 years plus, I have all of this experience and knowledge in my head. And well, I thought I needed to get it all out to you in that first 30 minutes. Whew, talk about information overload. Okay, so we are going to slow things down a bit, if that's okay with you. I told you last week that my goal for this program is to change the narrative about hearing and hearing loss, how we think about our hearing, how we talk about it, and that it should be part of our everyday wellness program, just like our eyes and our teeth, and all of the other things we take care of on a regular basis. And yes, that is a big goal of mine, but you know what? I have given this a lot of thought over the last week, and I really think that this program needs to be about so much more than that. It needs to be about living our best life. It needs to be about what's important to live healthy and how to stay healthy. I said to you last Sunday that the hip bone really is connected to the thigh bone, and it's true. Our body systems do not operate in isolation. Everything is connected from the top of our heads to the tip of our toes. So here's what I'm thinking the plan should be. Let's just make this a wellness program. Let's tackle different health topics and what you can do to live your best life by taking care of that amazing body of yours. Maybe we have a monthly theme, and each week we break it down to some specifics. Oh, and I'll make sure I have some guests on the show. Don't worry. I don't want you to just have to listen to me. And let's have some guests who specialize in all sorts of things, who can answer your questions and get you answers. I'll give you a heads up each week what you can expect so you can reach out to me with your questions. And we'll make sure we get them answered for you. And by the way, you can reach out to me with your questions at Jacquie@treasurevalleyhearing.com. Now, my name is spelled a little differently, so pay attention. I'm going to spell it for you. Here you go. It's Jacquie, Jacquie@treasurevalleyhearing.com. And I really do want to make sure you are getting the answers to your questions and what you want to know. So please do reach out to me. So, it is September, and it is World Alzheimer's Month. I want to honor that, so let's focus some of our time this month on Alzheimer's and actually dementia as a whole. Really, the umbrella disease is dementia, and Alzheimer's falls under that umbrella. And it is the most common form of dementia. And get this, not one single drug or medication exists that reverses Alzheimer's. So it's a big, big issue. And this is something we talk about a great deal in our 3 clinics and with our patients. Specifically, we talk about the link between hearing loss and dementia. If you did join me last week, I shared with you the 3 risk factors that connect hearing loss with dementia. And one of those 3 risk factors is social isolation. And it is a biggie. Oh, and by the way, if you have nothing better to do right now, try saying social isolation 3 times quickly. No, seriously, go for it. I have to work to spit it out just the one time without tripping all over it. Okay, so we'll dive deeper into social isolation itself here in a few minutes. But since I just mentioned hearing loss and dementia, you should know that recent research has found that hearing loss can increase the risk of developing dementia by 200 to 500%. In fact, researchers at Johns Hopkins Medical Center and the National Institute on Aging found that individuals with hearing loss, and we're talking about people here with hearing loss who are not using hearing aids compared to those with normal hearing, well, they are at a significantly higher risk for developing dementia over time. In a nutshell, someone with a hearing loss, an untreated hearing loss, is more likely to develop dementia than someone with normal hearing. And the more hearing loss they have, the higher the likelihood of developing this memory-robbing disease. And get this, a hearing loss is the number 1 most modifiable factor in preventing dementia. One of the things that really gets me is that our physical body is estimated to outlive our mental capacity by about 10 years. Now, this means that someone, a facility, a family member, someone is going to have to take care of us to the tune right now of about $57,000 a year. Not tough to do that math, is it? It is devastating on so many levels. And what if treating your hearing loss helped to prevent or slow down the onset of dementia? Just do it. Get a hearing test, find out what's going on. Okay, getting back to social isolation. Withdrawal from social situations, that's really common in individuals with hearing loss. We know that. It becomes so difficult for a person with a hearing loss to function in so many situations, especially group situations or places where there is background noise. Oh, they end up feeling embarrassed when misunderstanding something, or they fear making a mistake in a conversation. And they feel like they're just not part of the conversation. And these can all be reasons for pulling back and pulling away. Well, and over time, folks with hearing loss, they just tend to separate themselves from their family, their friends, their community, from all of the things that they once enjoyed. You know, even a mild hearing loss has been found to cause people to begin to isolate. On top of that, people who socially isolate tend to have reduced physical activity as well. And, well, both reduced social interaction and reduced physical activity, those are both strong risk factors for the development of dementia. Oh, by the way, we have a few seats left for our community event on September 10th. That's this Tuesday, where Dr. James Crawford and myself will be discussing dementia and hearing loss. Dr. Crawford, he is the only board-certified neurologist in the state of Idaho, and he is one smart guy, let me tell you. You do not want to miss this opportunity to hear him and to ask him any questions you might have. As I said, this event is September 10th, Tuesday, from 2 to 4 in the afternoon at the Silverstone Amenity Center in Meridian. Give Debbie a call at 208-938-3777 to reserve a spot. I'm pretty sure we have a few spots left, but call Debbie and get yourself on that list. Myself, I'll be discussing the link between hearing loss and dementia and also talking about solutions for treating a hearing loss. If that doesn't work for you, you can go over to our website, treasurevalleyhearing.com, and download your free research report, which discusses the 3 risk factors that I talked about associated with hearing loss and dementia. This is becoming such a widespread problem that there are new reports and studies coming out like crazy right now, helping us to better understand, the science of dementia. They're just coming out right and left. Okay, back to social isolation and actually the loneliness that comes with it. Oh, it's just so sad. And having a hearing loss myself, I totally get it. And I see it every single day in my work. It's just heartbreaking. So many of our patients, they actually come in after they have let their hearing loss go untreated for years, 5, 10, 15, even 20 years or more. What they don't understand and what their families don't understand is that the consequences of not treating the hearing loss, they are very difficult to reverse later, those consequences. The phonemic regression, the auditory atrophy, that is the brain, not the ear, that has suffered. And the defensive behaviorisms that have set in, those can become entrenched in a personality. They become a part of that personality. And it's pretty tough to change those once they become a part of someone for so many years. And simply just sticking hearing aids in the ears, it may not be enough. We may need to actually create other strategies, not so much for the hearing, but for the understanding and assigning meaning to what we hear. Listening exercises, if you will, kind of like physical therapy for your ears and your brain. But social isolation and the loneliness it brings, it is far more reaching when it comes to our health. Here's the thing. Human beings, we are social animals. People need people. We go through our life developing friendships and relationships, especially those with people who have things in common with us. When we are hanging out with people that do the things that we do and love to do the things that we do, we really thrive. My husband and I, we love to golf, and we have an entire community of friends and family that we golf with. During that time, we are chatting and we are laughing. Okay, maybe an occasional angry word or two when our ball, or I should say my ball, lands in the water. But this is a time we so enjoy and look forward to. Usually, we will have lunch or dinner together afterwards with all of our friends. We laugh and we talk about our great golf shots and our not so great ones. But not only are we socially engaging when we are doing that, we are physically moving as well. Like I said, humans, we live better and we are more healthy when we are with our tribe. But as we get older, those relationships and those connections, they can begin to thin, and that can lead to that isolation and that loneliness. Some studies suggest that the impact of isolation and loneliness on our health and our mortality are as harmful as high blood pressure, obesity, and smoking. In fact, a study by professors at Brigham Young University found that prolonged social isolation is as harmful to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That just really blew my mind when I read that. I know it's bad, but I didn't realize it was that bad. Okay, we are going to head into a break now, and when we get back, I will share with you some signs that you can watch for in someone who might be feeling isolated, and then what you can do to help. Let's talk about some strategies for reducing isolation and that loneliness and getting back in the game. So stay tuned. You are listening to the Hear Well, Live Well program on KIDO, and this show is brought to you by Treasure Valley Hearing and Balance Clinics. Welcome back to the Hear Well, Live Well program, being brought to you by Treasure Valley Hearing and Balance. And I am your host, Jacquie Elcox, and I am so glad you are with us today. We are talking about the very important topic of social isolation and loneliness and the risk factors that can lead to social isolation. See, I said it's hard to say. And the devastating health effects that social isolation and loneliness can bring to us. I would say that there is enough evidence to consider social isolation and loneliness, especially among older adults, to be a significant public health issue. I think it's that bad. Loneliness is known to be a major risk factor for depression, which itself can accelerate functional decline and actually increase our risk of dying early. many people believe that depression can increase the risk for heart attacks and strokes. And social isolation and the depression it can bring may even, they say, increase inflammation in our bodies and can cause insomnia, all of which can accelerate that brain and cardiovascular aging process. And oh my goodness, it's no secret how lack of sleep can mess with us. Gosh, that list just goes on and on. Now, it's really important to remember, though, that not all people who are isolated are lonely, and not all who are lonely are isolated. In fact, being in an unhealthy relationship can actually be more stressful than being alone, and that is just a really sad situation. But as I said earlier, we are a social species. Our families, our communities, our tribes, that's what enables us to survive and to thrive. So what are some of the signs that you can watch for in someone or even yourself where isolation may be setting in? According to the ARP Foundation, things to watch for: deep boredom and a general lack of interest and withdrawal from things that you used to really enjoy, things you used to love to do. You just don't want to do them anymore. Also, losing interest in personal hygiene, not really bothering to bathe or change your clothes or keep your clothes clean. Maybe you just wear the same things for several days at a time. Poor eating and nutrition. And the other big thing is significant clutter and maybe even hoarding in the home. If all of a sudden you see that things are piling up everywhere, these may be signs that someone is struggling from a feeling of isolation or depression, and reach out to help them, or reach out for help yourself if this is you. I want to talk to you now about the importance of addressing and reducing loneliness and social isolation, and some things that you can do to help yourself, or maybe help someone you know who is suffering. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say step number 1, get your hearing tested. I've said it before and I'll say it again. No one ever got upset being told they have normal hearing. And if the news is that you do have a hearing loss, get it treated. Even a mild hearing loss needs to be treated. Just make that phone call, get yourself a hearing test, and then take some action if you need to. So social isolation and loneliness, it can be disastrous to our health. And it's a tough one to figure out because there is no blood test or an MRI that can diagnose it, right? Someone has to realize that they're experiencing it and they have to speak up. But with there still being so much stigma around, admitting that we're lonely or depressed or feeling isolated, it's tough to speak up and seek help. It's easier said than done. And it's really important for friends and family to be on the lookout and watch for the signs that I mentioned a minute or so ago. So beyond that, let's talk about getting active and reconnecting with the outside world. And I do know that is a lot easier said than done. I am an extroverted introvert. If I'm with people I know really well, I can be the life of the party. But if I find myself in a new environment or with people that I don't really know, you'll likely find me standing over in a corner, sort of watching all the activity. So I know how overwhelming it can be, and it becomes very easy then to just sort of develop that habit of staying in. For me, when I find myself in a situation like that, my heart starts pounding and my hands are sweating, and I want to be anywhere but there. And I'm sure my own hearing loss has a lot to do with that, but I've always sort of been that way. I have to force myself to get into new and unfamiliar situations. You just got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I do that because I know it is good for me. Have you ever heard of the blue zones? The blue zones are areas in the world where people routinely live past their 100th birthday. And it isn't just that they live so long, but for people in the blue zones, their quality of life is also excellent. And it's excellent well into their later years. The blue zones kind of talks about seven things that you can do to live this exceptional life. And the authors of the Blue Zone book, They identify these 7 things, but they say that the most powerful thing you can do is to surround yourself with family members and close friends, especially those who share your values and your hobbies and the things that you like to do. You know, if they're all doing healthy things, you're likely to do healthy things. Things such as, I don't know, join an organization where you can enjoy those hobbies, especially if they're ones you've stopped doing. Maybe it's painting or gardening or, like me, golfing. Hook up with a group who also enjoys the same things as you. I was reading where community recreation centers offer all kinds of really cool classes and activities. Maybe it's a Bible study group that you need to reconnect with, or try a new book club, even a bridge club. Or even better yet, take up a new hobby. That really gets the brain stimulated. Maybe even join a walking club. And once you're out there doing some of these things, share your interests with others. Tell your family about your new hobby. Share that experience. This really does light up the brain and gets the juices flowing and stirring. Even if you're homebound, you can learn to use a computer. Join an online forum where you can share ideas and get ideas and share information. Another thing that's really, really helpful is volunteering. Helping others can really help you meet new people. And as you contribute to society and you're doing something for others, it'll increase your own feelings of well-being, make you feel better. I know that, and you know, we all need a sense of purpose. And yep, sometimes we have to force ourselves to get up and show up. I know it's not easy, but we cannot give up. We have to look for ways to stay socially active and stay engaged with our friends and our family. I mean, what about a part-time job? Being at work can help to combat that loneliness and fight that social isolation, right? It's really a great way to meet other people and interact. And again, we are getting that brain active. We're getting that brain functioning and learning new things. I mentioned a walking group. You've heard the saying, a body in motion tends to stay in motion. Well, yep, we know that exercise is good for us. Both our bodies and our mental health benefit from us exercising. But it doesn't have to be the gym. It doesn't have to be anything that formal, although I will say going to the gym is a great way to meet other people. Join an exercise class. The Y has lots of great classes. I have friends that go to classes at the Y. But something as simple as going for a walk, getting out in nature, being in nature and breathing all that fresh air, all of these things are so good for you. And joining a walking club, I think, would be a lot of fun. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Well, it's important, I think, that we just cannot stop living. We must keep moving forward. We must look for ways to engage with others. Taking care of our health means making sure everything is working properly, especially our 5 senses. It is our 5 senses, after all, that keeps us connected to the outside world, right? It gives our brain the info it needs to make good decisions. Once we know that we have everything working okay physically and that we're doing all we can to take care of ourselves, then we must work on our emotional and our mental well-being. And again, the best way for us to do that is just get involved. Get involved in something. Get out there and meet people. As I said, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Increase your tolerance for getting uncomfortable. Here's the thing. More people are out there feeling that loneliness and that sense of isolation than you may realize. They're going through what you're going through. They are in the same boat. So when you get out there and you're helping yourself, not only are you helping yourself, but you may be saving someone else. So it's important to get out there and interact for not only your own well-being, but for that of others. All right, you've been listening to the Hear Well, Live Well program with me, Jacquie Elcox, and thank you so much for joining me. Next week, I think that we should talk about other ways to keep our brain healthy and slow down cognitive decline so that you can live your best life. I think we'll talk about specifically some brain exercises and things that you can do to strengthen that cortex, all the different parts of that cortex. Again, please reach out to me with any questions or comments that you might have. at Jackie@treasurevalleyhearing.com. And until next week, get out there and live your life.